Good day, class. So now we will discuss a new topic in our subject, which is technology for teaching and learning. And our topic is all about ICT and assessment in learning. It will be presented by Miss Romina Grace Quezon and yours truly, Miss Elaine Aranjo. But before that, let us look to our objectives. So, at the end of the lesson, you are expected to first, define assessment and ICT. Second, differentiate the types of assessment. And lastly, explain the role of ICT in the assessment in learning. So, what will be the coverage of our topic? First, we have the types of assessment. But first, let us define what is assessment. So according to Harris and Hodges, 1995, it is the process of gathering data to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of student learning. So assessment is a way or a tool that the teacher used to determine how will the students understand the lesson and also to know if the students are struggling in a certain part of the subject. So it helps the teachers to identify the strengths and weaknesses of students. So if the teachers finds out the strengths and weaknesses of their students, they can use it to aid or to tailor their instruction according to the needs of the students. Next, it is an integral part of the teaching and learning process. So, of course, assessment is very important in teaching and learning process because it does not identify the strength and weakness of the students, but it also helps the teachers to know or to determine if the strategies that they use in their teaching is effective or not. So if the teaching strategies of the teachers is not effective, they can think of other ways or other strategies that they can use for the effective learning of the students. Next, it provides valuable insights into students' learning and serve as reference point for their progress. Okay? Assessment provide the teachers the valuable information about the learning needs of the students. So, the assessment can be used to monitor the progress of the students and their development in learning. So, it will also aid the teachers to know if they will move forward to the next lesson or not, depending on the progress of the students. So, now let's proceed to the types of assessment. First, we have formative assessment. So, formative assessment provides feedback and information during the instructional process while learning is taking place and while learning is occurring. Formative assessment is given during or right after the instructional process. From the word form in formative, we are forming or we are helping our students to learn something from the lesson. In addition, it helped the teachers to gauge if the students is really learning in the instructional process. And one of the characteristics of formative assessment is that it is not graded because it is considered as part of the instruction, and it acts as a helping hand to the teachers to determine or to verify if the students really understand the lesson and if the teachers can move to the next lesson. So if the findings in using the formative assessment show that the students really understand the lesson, then the teachers can proceed to the next lesson. And if not, it provides the teachers the information that their teaching strategies is not effective, and they need to find a way or other strategies to effectively teach the lesson to the students. Next, we have summative assessment. So it takes place after the learning has been completed and provides information and feedback that sums up the teaching and learning process. So the difference of summative assessment to formative assessment is the time frame that it was given. Because the formative assessment is given during or right after the instructional process, while the summative assessment is given at the end of an instructional period. So, the summative assessment is more evaluative because it tends to measure if the course learning objectives are met. And one example of this assessment is the exam. So this assessment, like exam, intended to evaluate or measure the student's learning and compare it to a certain standard. So unlike the formative assessment, it is more formal, and it has clear expectations that the students need to meet. So that's why the summative assessment has a high value, or it is graded. Next, we have the diagnostic assessment. So it can help you identify your students' current knowledge of a subject, their skill sets and capabilities to clarify misconception before teaching takes place. So note that it occurs before teaching takes place. So diagnostic assessment is given before the instructional process of the teacher. So from the word diagnostic, diagnose, the teacher used it to diagnose the strengths and weaknesses of the students, to determine what the students already know, what they need to focus on in the subject, and also if the students have enough knowledge on the certain topic, so the teachers can modify the instruction according to the knowledge of the students. And I just want to add in diagnostic assessment is that it is used to prepare the students before the instructional process takes place. And lastly, we have authentic assessment. So it describes the multiple forms of assessment that reflect student learning, achievement, motivation, and attitudes on instructionally relevant classroom activities. So when we say authentic, it means genuine, true, or real. Real because it is a form of assessment that makes use of the real-world activities. Unlike the traditional assessment that makes use of the paper and pencil test, authentic assessment is performance-based because it allows the students to demonstrate the skill that they have learned from a certain subject or a certain lesson, and apply it in a real world situation. So that is the authentic assessment. Next, we have the role of ICT in assessment in learning, which will be discussed by Ms. Romina.